sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. It's really nice having you here. I'll just quick brief. I'll just want you to introduce yourself.
My name is Otunba Segun Showunmi. That suffices. I've been in the public space for a long time.
Yeah.
I ran for governor in 2023 under the banners of PDP of Ogun State. Spokesperson of presidential campaign in May in 2019, one of the auxiliary ones in 2023.
Yeah.
I think I'm just a completely committed, passionate, irrepressible believer in the country Nigeria. And in the political space, I've been for 20-something years. Since it started with PDP, never left one day.
Oh, wow.
And I think, for me, I think there should be stable parties.
Yeah.
I think all Nigerians should feel free to be Nigerians wherever they are.
True.
I think we should have a general set of vision that we all accept and buy into, with everyone knowing what his role is in creating that vision and what can be the expected outcome of that vision. I think government should be held accountable at all costs. And I think that whatever is possible for any person on the planet and any country on the planet, to a reasonable extent, is possible for Nigeria. And I think that our case in this country is always very, very hopeful, no matter how we like to see. I think that the statistics are skewed against us. I think that we've done a whole remarkably better than we like to admit. I think that, yes, that's me. I'm married. I have 2 boys, speak a few languages, German, Senegalese, Wolof, been around a bit.
Brilliant, sir. So, looking at the way Nigeria is going today, I would like us to discuss a little bit about the political parties.
Okay.
In the sense that currently, right now, in the eastern part of Nigeria, we have an election that is ongoing, and to my understanding, you're involved in one way or the other. So, I want you to enlighten us about it, generally.
I think that the Nigerian political space, relative to how the people participate, is evolving at a very fast speed.
Yeah.
Between 1999 till about 2019, the pace was, if you like, arithmetical progression. We could measure it in small steps.
Yeah.
By 2014, when the new APC was going to take over from government in 2015, we thought that, okay, that was a leap, like a bit of a leap. But by the time we got to 2023, we saw that it had now become geometrical in terms of, if you know how to do the measurements.
Yeah.
More younger people the opinions of younger people were coming out very strong. The ability to take a stand was becoming heavy. Other parties were now pushing for new, space. The electoral body has come under far more significant scrutiny. The judiciary, no part of the society has been immune. So when you see that, you know that something is bubbling.
Yeah.
But whatever it is that is bubbling, underneath it is still the hope of the audacious belief that something better is possible. Because if people did not really believe that something better was possible, then they could not possibly be agitating for change at the space that's there. So for the one you're talking about, I think by the time where we are now, we will have to wait until after that election to be able to measure in concrete terms whether there is a call to action that matches the energy of the people within the country.
Okay.
If we see that the big parties or the ones where the governors are existing, all of the governors party won, then we will have to say that we need to go back to the drawing board to figure out how to ensure that all the energy, the noise, the anger can be propelled into a call to action that can engender the right type of change in democracy.
True.
Otherwise, people will just be angry and the outcome will still be always the same. So I think that November 11, 2023 election, the Kogi election, the Imo election, and the Bayelsa election, for me, is a watershed moment in trying to see whether the energies of the society of Nigeria has gotten to a point where we can measure anger, expectation, desire for change with actual result.
Cool.
And that would also mean we'll have to see how INEC holds up You know, from time to time, people tend to disagree with the regulatory agency.
Yes.
But in that disagreement, they do not spend enough time to see whether improvements have taken place,
Okay.
or whether they're angry only because they didn't get their desire, or whether there's a legitimate anger that can substantially impact what the actions will be. For me, even though I'm in the political space, I'm very, very big on research. And from what I see, I think that curiously, 2023 election is actually the cleanest, the best that we've ever done in the country. Yes. Typically, what you see.
But we're having these court issues back to back, and we're having a lot of problems.
Court cases are always going to be happening because the rule allows the participants and their political party to approach the court if they feel something has gone on that they didn't like. That means if the outcome does not meet their expectation.
Okay.
But the fact that the law allows them to go to court does not mean that they are going to always win in court. In some cases, they will win, and you will have them say, "Oh, the judiciary is very independent and very good." And then when they lose, they go scream more. And each of the cases, it's not one court that is the final court. You have an opportunity at one level. If you're not happy, go to the next level, and in some cases, go to the third level. And because of the new energy I was talking about that we have seen now through 2023, we can see that the usage of social media, activations of people on Twitter space, especially and Facebook and all that, has created, what you call an optical illusion. An optical illusion is something that seems to be there, but it's not really there.
Yeah.
And we have to measure that, I believe, by November. Because if in November, it's only the ruling parties in all the 3 states that can win, then you have to know that it's just hot air. And nothing significant. Because if they are that angry, they ought to be able to influence outcomes. So you must be able to see, okay, everybody's upset, people are talking, there's a lot of energy, we don't like this, we don't like that.
Yeah.
But now they have an opportunity of a term election. Do they have the ability for boots on ground and call to action to change things? If they don't, then we go back to the drawing board and say, what does this anger really mean? What does this energy really mean? Is it just noisy, destabilizing, angry rhetoric without a call to action? Or can we then take this energy, rechannel it into a call to action? I always tell people, and I tell myself often, participating in an election or even in contest, victory is not the most important outcome for me. It's good to be victorious because it allows you to go and implement. But for me, I always say, even the process itself is very important.
True.
While you campaign, the kinds of issues you talk about, or how you speak to them, the quality of your rhetorics, and the general feel of what you're saying may even be motivating people that don't have the ability to even vote yet. So that whatever the case may be, if you come short, you haven't really lost. If you won, you haven't really won. Because the one who wins has to go and now deal with the problem. And the one who comes short can always say, I would have been better. So for me, I think that democracy is pretty. It's getting a little bit tender. So it's getting tough now. It's beginning to affect the tribal cleavage in the country. I'm beginning to see people fall back into their tribal lines. It's getting a little bit difficult for people to be pan-Nigerian because you can't sit in a conversational space and they are tribalizing it against your tribe or for your tribe, and it doesn't do something. It does something. All the time it does something. It takes a little bit of elevated understanding to be able to appreciate, no matter how angry the rhetoric of the other person is, to be able to appreciate precisely where it's coming from and to be able to identify that thing that wants change. So I think that, yes, we'll see after November. If the outcome in November represents that there's a paradigm shift, then you say, El Dorado, Nigeria is ready.
Okay, so you think it will really, really do fine in the East?
I think the decision of how it will do in the East is up to the Easterners themselves. I have agonized much that I cannot rationalize why that particular space will be subjected to that level of internal contradictions, given the energy that I think that place is able to exude. And I understand that, yes, they feel that there's a glass ceiling that prevents them from being maybe president if you want. But I would have preferred a situation where they were even asking their governors, Edward gentlemen, how far have you gone with the autonomy that you seem to have?
True.
Because it is within the same federal structure that the Southwest is doing what it's doing, its local government, its states, and building all of that. So within the same federal government structure, how far have you governors, our governors in the Southeast, done for our people in the Southeast? So you can't create an angry rhetoric that seeks to be angry at the national without having the ability to just lower your gaze a bit to see whether they're doing well here as they should. So I think that in the long run, it's a challenge for security.
It is.
Because they have to mark up a lot of energy just to give them the ability and the opportunity to cast their vote in the best way they can. But ultimately, I think that if they are angry, the best way to be angry is to vote out the people that are making them angry. You should be able to use your vote to achieve.
Your vote is your voice.
And say and insist that, okay, we're angry. Remember that nations have not always been in democracy.
Yeah.
There was a time when they were all in kings and monarchs. So even if you're angry with the monarch, what are you going to do?
That's not it.
Okay. Then there was a time they were in military dictatorship and all of that. If you're angry with them, you must maybe hope that somebody is going to help you go and do a coup and all that. And then, but in a democracy, you have all the opportunity to be angry and to tell the guy that you're angry about that be gone. So if you're not using it, my agony with the Nigerian system is that the poor don't know what they want, or better put, the mass of the people don't know what they want.
Okay.
The mass of the people cannot insist that the only change they want is the change that can be procured by those who already have all the levers of state and have abused state authority by capturing resources. So that when people like us who have not done that come to them with big ideas, they ought to know that there's no way we'll come up with big ideas and also have tainted ourselves with the corruption and the stealing and the covetousness that created big money. So you have to choose. If you want the big money on election day and you want to be bribed, you want to be paid, you want to collect, then you have to know that the only people that can come up from that kind of system are drug dealers and such kinds of characters. But if you really want Obama moments, if you want quantum leap, if you want a new Nigeria, if you want the kind of Nigeria where, if you want us to repair the broken lines, then you have to look for visionaries like us.
Yeah.
And we will be able to say, okay, we're here.
True. To my understanding, you've done a lot of things in politics and you've even campaigned for different elections. That's why I'm impressed to have an insight about everything you know about politics and all the breakdown about it. So what was your experience like when you were campaigning, when you were in the field, and what do you think, especially during the governor election?
The one I tried to do.
The one you did.
Luckily for me,
Yeah.
I have been someone who have been an apostle of we can stylize the campaign.
Okay.
By stylized campaign, I mean the campaign doesn't have to be dry, bland rhetoric. We could, incrementally touch.
You were with the PDP?
Oh, yeah, I ran on that. We could incrementally touch the people at a very deep, persuasive way that seeks to show them that better is here. And we could do it with so many touch points that they can enjoy, they can connect with, and their children can also really like. Yeah. And I've always also said that if you refuse to have the conversation during campaign, then it means that you have elected people and you don't even at least have an idea of what they're up to. And I've also believed that the people that want to lead cannot always insist that the only way to talk is through surrogates. That the people that want to lead must make themselves available to answer tough questions. And I've also believed that those who have to ask the questions must not allow them to get away with just buzzwords. And you can't get away with just, for want of a better word, renewed hope, or you get away with unifier, or you get away with new Nigeria. That's all hogwash for me. You need to put their feet to the fire, and you need to be asking them in clear terms, what are we doing about this in concrete terms?
True.
And when they tell you what they're going to do, you need to be asking them the how we're going to do it. And when they tell you the how we're going to do it, then you need to be asking them, how do we fund it? And when they answer you the how do you fund it, you need to say, what's the impact on the people? And when you ask them the impact of it, you need to timeline them. That's the type of politics I play. And that's how I have always been. So I try to take campaigns and I try to push the inner recess of what I think the guy believes. And I expect people to ask questions. But what I have found up till now is that the big parties have reduced the conversation into a jamboree. A jamboree in the sense that they get a musician, he sings and talks a lot of absolute incongruous words that doesn't make any
But
sense.
it captured the attention of the masses.
Exactly. So it means that, and then on top of that, they expect to be given money. On top of that, they expect to be given, handouts and all that. There's a time for handouts.
Even foodstuffs.
And that's the time for that's a handout. Yeah. I expect that you can take handouts when they have won. Like if the government is doing palliative now.
The government wouldn't have time to come back and do that.
No. If you can take handouts when they have won. But I think that when they have to vote, you need to be extremely sure of the price of your one vote.
Okay.
There's no how much are they going to pay, how much are they going to give. That is equivalent to 4 years of hospital, 4 years of water, 4 years of security, 4 years of economy, 4 years of salary, 4 years of safety, 4 years of vision, 4 years of panache, 4 years of brand extension, 4 years of all of that. So when you take it from that angle, you find out that it's impossible for them to be able to give you what can be commensurate to 4 years. And what you've seen in this country is that 5 minutes after they elect who they elect, then they start complaining.
True.
Because the reality...
It's even immediately.
The reality... that's 5 minutes. The reality of what the bargain they have entered into dawns on them. And because of the nature of government and the instrument of coercion and managing the system, you can't really do anything to them. So I think that the time for campaigns is the time when you're telling them, gentlemen, please keep your stuff. Let's talk about the issues. That's the time you're supposed to.
But how many people listen or want to?
Well, the thing is that it's a responsibility of all of you, all of us, me, you, and everybody else to insist that that's the way. Otherwise, we will join them. We will join them. Then I'll also become somebody who's just looking, we'll all become thieves. And we will find out that even all of that thievery is like we're taking what is worthless. Because immortality in service is not going to be done by money, houses, and all of that. Immortality in service is going to be by the soundness of your policy and the impact of saying your generation yet unborn. People don't talk about Awolowo because he's rich. People talk about Awolowo because of the profound impact of his policy. True. And the same for some of the other people that are. The North is the North today. That's not the North of Tafawa Balewa.
Yeah.
From time to time, I always tell myself that was the North shortchanged by the death of Tafawa Balewa too quickly. Because I try to imagine that if Tafawa Balewa had existed and lived as long as Awolowo, as long as Azikwe, and he had lived in the North as long as others had lived, I imagine that the North will not be the North that we're seeing today. So I feel that the North was shortchanged because one of his most visionary leaders was cut off too quickly, while the people who were propelling the visions of the other two environments were alive to nurture it for a long time. That's the extent of how vision is. And it's not as if in the North, people don't have money or leaders don't, but the burden to move a nation in the direction of its growth and what it needs to do, it's not a kid's play. It's a lot of thinking. It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of testing. It's a lot of prayer. It's a lot of God so.
Yeah.
And when people tell you, what exactly is the reason? If you look very well, you may always find out that most of the time they're just being selfish. Only a few of us can say truly that at the end of the day, it is I want to minimize myself so that we can expand what we give to the society. True. And if you can do that, and if your leaders can do that, and if we can have more of us doing that, then it really really matter whether you are from the east, the west, the north, because we will have an army of people, just like we had in the First Republic, who were thinking both for the people and for the country. Right now, we have insular politicians who are taking advantage of the poverty of the people.
Okay, it's just a lot to digest. Thank you so much. Now we want to go into what is the next thing for Nigeria. What do you think? Because we've already talked about politics and what you think in the East. We've talked about how you contested and every other thing. But what next for Nigeria? What's the hope for the next generation in this country with the way things are going?
I think the Nigerians must know that we are a bit indulged because we don't tend to see the struggles of other people.
Okay.
Imagine for a second the struggles of the Russians and the Ukrainians, even as we speak.
Yeah.
And that struggle has gone on for some time.
Yeah.
And you hardly get the people being non-patriotic in spite of war.
Yeah.
If that's not home enough, imagine the struggle of the Palestinians vis-a-vis what's going on in the Middle East. And you can see how long they've been at it.
Yeah.
In spite of that, you still get them to be very patriotic to their own ideology.
Yeah.
And you look at the world over, you look at the challenges where fire burns the forest and continues to burn and burn and burn. You look at the Asian areas where monsoon winds are just destroying everything they build. And those people there are still... The Nigerian is only dealing with a high expectation and audacity that things can be better, and he wants it to be better now, which I get. But on the flip side, the Nigerian is not looking at himself and asking himself that, have I really done that badly?
I don't understand.
Yes, well, 24 years ago,
Okay.
you could literally count the number of civil servants who had a car.
Yes, actually.
24 years ago, you could literally count the number of people who had a house that had more than one toilet.
Yeah.
Those are data that is strong. 24 years ago, you could hardly see, you could see how many locations had a primary healthcare system. 24 years ago, you didn't even have a second economy that is driven purely by people who do makeup artists, people who sew the clothes, people who do vending for drinks, people who do the parties, event organizers, skits makers, bid photographer. All of these things were also created or enabled within that period. 24 years ago, how many people even enjoyed banking experience? Banking experience. Yeah. It's such a tedious process to just go to the bank. You're so scared because it's chaotic. But you have to know somebody in the bank just to help you with one teller. We don't even do that anymore. 24 years ago, how many people could even give a gift to their parents remotely by sitting in one place? 24 years ago, to give something to your parents, if your parents were the type that needed gifts, you have to physically go there. Today, you don't have to. You can just send them a transfer. 24 years ago, the people, the way they dressed, they didn't even dress this way.
Yes.
24 years ago, the confidence level and the boisterousness of the Nigerian spirit was not even like this. So what am I saying to you? I'm saying that, yes, I get our audacity of wanting things to be better now. But I do not think that we should also take our eyes off incremental growth. And we should never allow the pariahs of depression, of everything is not working. We should never allow them to seize our mind, because it will risk us destroying the little we have built. And for you to be able to know how we have done,
so how far we've gone,
you just need to try and remember how many kilometers of tarred roads we even had in the country.
In the past and now.
In the last 24 years. There are city-states in Nigeria that have dramatically rewritten their own DNA. Akwa Ibom, for instance. 24 years ago, the only stories you heard about them was maybe very lonely. Today, They are almost at an alpha level in terms of, actualization, both in their built-up space and even in their human development. And that wasn't there 24 years ago. And the Southwest is a bubbling activity of commercial stuff going on that most of them are not even government enabled.
Yeah.
But the environment enabled it. The backbone enabled it. 24 years ago, most people talked about I better pass your neighbor. That really tiny generator. Remember that thing they used to say
Yeah.
those days? I can't even remember if anybody even uses that anymore. Now, the price of that generator then seems to be such that it was above our reach, and only everybody most people had something like that. But today,
it's affordable.
No. The ones that is even bigger is what everybody has.
Okay, yeah.
So
the small one is even very affordable. It's just the regular.
Nobody even buys that anymore.
Yes, people
except for people that want to just have like a organizer shop, just something very small. Everybody has maybe the next bigger one or the bigger one.
Yeah.
Now the question is, how did you afford it? You must have afforded it somehow. Part of it will be the things you do for yourself. Part of it will be the giftings in this society. Part of it will be trickling down and all that. So you need to figure out, you need to always say, it's not full yet, but nobody should tell us in this country that it is empty, because it is not.
So you feel in the past 25 years we've done well?
No. Well is an understatement. In the last 25 years, we have made some incremental,
impact.
Increased impact that takes us in the direction that we want to go.
Okay.
We have also made some mistakes, though.
A lot of mistakes, because we see the mistakes more than this impact, actually.
In the last 25 years, do you know how many billionaires we've created in this country?
How many what?
Billionaires we've created in this country who are impacting the whole of the world. You didn't have Aliko Dangote 24 years ago. He was alive.
But we had the Dantata.
No, man, you didn't have the Dantata. You thought you had something phenomenal. I'm talking about people that are colossal, that are taking over other people's countries. Big in Ghana, big in Angola, big in Sierra Leone, big in... You didn't have that. You didn't have any global bank 24 years ago. You have global banks now. You have banks you don't have the phenomenal effort of Tony Elumelu and his Impact of Africa project.
25 years ago.
You don't have that. You didn't have all of those boys 25 years ago. You didn't even have the quantum of cement you are producing 25 years ago.
Sure.
You didn't have. There are things you could have done better. Without a doubt, there are many things you should have done better. There are consequences that should have followed people's action. But you know what? 25 years ago, it was not bad. It was way worse. 25 years ago.
But the internet wasn't there for us to lament this much.
Well, the internet gives you many opportunities. Lamentation is just one of them. Lamentation is the frustration
exactly.
You are pushing out based on the hope now. You want it now. But you have to understand that even if you plant a tree today, it takes time for it to grow. And it takes time for it to be nurtured. And it takes time for it to bear fruit. If you plant rice, you'll get food maybe in about 9 months.
True.
If you plant a tree, maybe it'll take you 2, 3, or 5 years or 10 years. You have to, you see, I do not want a Nigeria that is projected like an angry Nigeria.
Actually, we are around the world. They call us, we are so blunt, arrogant.
What they say, what they call blunt and arrogant is our own audacity to say here we are. And we have a right to be that way, so long as we're not committing crime. It's only the total, some of the negative things, crime. And people commit crime all over the world. So Nigerians are not the one committing crime.
But they keep seeing us as...
It's because we are the greatest demarketers of ourselves. Nigeria is one country that you open the newspaper in a day, you are amazed at the kind of negativity and the tone of negativity. You go on the internet to do an internet analysis, SEO optimization, negativity all over the place. And you go to other countries that are even doing really worse or even going through a lot of pain. What you're going to see is people lining behind their country, people lining behind their flag, people just... That piece, I was writing that piece on because I knew that the case is closed. You put it in the court can go and do whatever they want to do with it. I ended by saying, let justice be done even if the heavens fall. That means that, the court is in your court, not going to do it. But then I then looked at his journey and what it takes to be that way. If you lose one election, it's very difficult for you to get up the next in the morning. It's very difficult. Forget the money. What about when they are congratulating themselves on the other side and people are just trying to tell you sorry? Do you know how annoying sorry is when you've lost? And especially when the system is rigged, and then you have to pull yourself up and all that and try again. And then the system is rigged, and you pull yourself up and try again. It's only somebody that has a nerve of steel that can
Go back to
that can do that. And so when I was looking at, and I started seeing the contribution, notwithstanding
the impact he has made.
The outcome.
In Nigeria?
Phenomenal impact. You need to know.
Really?
In 1992, let's just start from that. If he didn't even step down for
we need the history.
If Atiku did not step down for Abiola for whatever reason, maybe if he had stepped down for King Gibe would be the candidate. And there will be no that's gone. In 2000 and after that era, if the June 12 and everybody was angry, if he didn't join his voice to some extent, there would be no reason for him to go on exile. And he was attacked, they wanted to kill him. If he didn't go on exile, why would he be in the American space? If I would be in the Middle Eastern space. By 1999, if they were not doing politics and preparing the political parties and being the players there, we may not even have the likes of PDP and all of that. True. And when you had the PDP, he had won his governorship election in his state, Adamawa, and he was called upon to be vice president. If he didn't agree to be vice president, so all these economic policies that you are taking for granted today, you don't even have them. That process put him in contact with people who were very hostile in their reaction to anger and wrote things that it would take a whole generation to be able to mask it. Some of them, the truth or not true, is very difficult to say, but that situation didn't happen to his colleagues who were governors. It only happened to him.
Yeah.
And when you got to the third term issue, it will always be here, neither here nor there. But the fact remains that there's general consensus that something like a third term was broached, and some people had to stand. And the scars of standing for everybody is there for him. And it cost him a lot, but he had to go out to the party and all that. Now the journey to OKAC, this, that, also created the movement that created the alternative party with others, the APC. Now think about it. If we didn't have an alternative pan-Nigerian party, and we were stuck with only PDP that can do whatever it likes and nobody can change them because there's not enough energy and gravitas to change them, we would have liked the country. Okay, so that's it. And he didn't get the candidate, he didn't get their ticket at that time. That's at great cost too. Then the PDP had its own serious issues. The Jonathan government was done. All the former presidents, Jonathan and Obasanjo, were totally uninterested in the work to reform the party that gave them the best of, the best of opportunity to be president. Everybody just went away doing their own thing. If Atiku didn't come back, the party was at the comatose level.
Yeah.
Most people were already leaving. Okay, he came back again. I worked very hard. 2019, I was a spokesman. I know what happened there. Truly, as I said, we won that election. No doubt about it.
He won the election.
Oh, without a doubt. I know that. I know where
Then Peter Obi was his vice.
Yeah, Peter was his vice. They won that election. Where the numbers were loaded, you can see them. So, okay, he didn't form government again. That's if he didn't do that, then maybe by that time everybody would have even swam into the ruling party, and maybe PDP would be gone. That party was safe because people, his energy, his effort, it was those things that I was thinking about, and I then saw what Roosevelt had said. The honor belongs to the man in the arena, not the one that doesn't try, not the one that is sitting on the ground criticizing, complaining, and saying all sorts of rubbish. It's the guy that's dirty in his hand, falling down, marking his face, getting bruised, getting dusted, but getting up again. And when I see the number of times he's done it, I had to give him the children, man of the man in the arena, peace. It has nothing to do with whatever he wants to do with himself and how he wants to pursue whatever. But I just thought that it was a kind comment to help him situate the journey in history, almost in a manner saying, we recognize, we appreciate what you have done. But obviously, if it's not going to be, it's not going to be. We're Africans. We have rules for destiny, plans, or the will of God, and whatever mistakes and all. Some people will be president. I mean, Jonathan was sitting in his house. He had no way of thinking that he was going to be president one day, and he became president. Obasanjo only on one time, he was president. Obasanjo was sitting in prison. So I'm saying that
What would be?
We don't know why one guy is lucky and the other guy comes
It's not
short.
okay, yeah.
But we can look at the guy that has come short and also recognize what it has cost him in terms of doing it. And to do it, the number of times Atiku had done it. That was why I penned that.
A Man in the Arena.
The Man in the Arena.
And it's actually because I read it and it's phenomenal. It's so amazing too. It's something different because I didn't even see it in that perspective. It's something everybody would like to read. So you guys should go online and check it out. It's amazing. But there's something I would like to ask. Aside the fact that he has done all these things that you just listed, don't you think in any way, I know you
don't worry, ask me.
Don't you think in any way he has a lot of flaws that if he was actually currently in charge, he wouldn't have done better than what we already have?
When you ask this question this way, thank you for asking it. I think I have become convinced that the flaws that must exist may be a pioneer flaw.
Oh, okay. How do you mean?
You know, if you are a very poor person from a very poor family, and you know what poverty means and has meant, you may be a little bit more covetous.
What do you mean?
Covetous means trying to make more.
No, I mean in the terms you're
talking about. Trying to make more, trying to have more money, trying to never being afraid of poverty, trying to invest right, trying to take, all of those.
But that's overwhelming.
No, it comes with the pioneer status. The children of people who have gone through that are not always that covetous. No, and the issues, even if you like, even the president Bola Tinubu himself, he also suffers from the burden of pioneers. I mean, for God's sake, if I asked you, how old are you? You know, when were you born? But these are things that people don't take into cognizance that these men, when they were born, record keeping and all of that was not that much in this country.
Yes.
A lot of people were not even born in a hospital in their generation.
Yes.
And most of their parents may not even be able to read and write.
So they didn't even document.
Most of their parents didn't even document.
They didn't even know their own age. Doctors have to document
How would
for
they
a
even
child.
document it? And when did they even write it? We started doing free education only in the 1950s. These guys have been born before then. So when you criticize them, and I do criticize them often too, but I'm always able to see that they are carrying the burden of pioneers. None of their children can ever have that burden. That's how it is. So when people say Atiku has flaws, what flaws does he have? It was in the cost of whatever advantage he would have gotten. Can't be more than the advantage of other customers. If you ever knew.
So if he was the president right now, you're good with it?
I think that
because he's in your party?
No. I think that you see, I know both men.
Okay.
And in fact, I dare tell you, I know Ashad Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I've known him longer, deeper than I know Atiku. I know him. I can close my eyes and tell you, under this circumstance, this is what Bola would do.
Oh, okay.
I know him that well. I study leaders. I know the leaders. I know Babangida. I know Obasanjo. I know that I'm interested in this thing. I'm very, very interested. I don't look at leaders from the point of view of what they are saying. I listen to what they're not saying. So I can even hear and see their struggle. The thing that Atiku does that phenomenally amazes me about him is his deep desire for making plans. He always comes with a plan. He always writes a roadmap that is not, no. He writes a roadmap that is very heavy on details. Researchers are pulled together from all over the world to think about problems.
But Obasanjo doesn't think that way.
No, Obasanjo knows that is the truth. Most of the things, with due respect to him.
Have you read his book? You'd have seen a lot of.
You see, when I wrote
things that wouldn't make you want to elect him.
When I wrote The Man in the Arena, there was a part there where I said sanctimonious hypocrisy. You would have seen that one.
I saw that.
Yeah, when I said sanctimonious hypocrisy, I was trying to be very careful not to dump my own father in the mud. But the sanctimonious hypocrisy was coming from a background of, wow, really? So that guy is like that, and you all are all saints? Oh, really? So that guy did this, and you guys didn't, you know? So I saw that the venom in the writing could have been as a result of being closely in proximity of each other. If you asked a woman or a wife to do a critique of her husband, she will say things that you would dare not know if you were not that close. So that your Prince Charming may be a monster if you ask the people that know him really closely.
True.
And so when you come into that kind of proximity and the activities, the everyday activities of that era now has to deal with, we're pushing back the president, maybe trying to even rescue the president from himself in manners that we can only push back. And it's not very easy to control a Nigerian president.